welcome to the Album of the Year podcast. My name is Kris Wright, as a matter of fact, and over to my right is my man, Marty Kalla.
Right.
Marty.
Hey.
Good
Kris,
to see you, man.
Good to see you, man. I feel like it's more we had that long kind of a break, and now we're kind of back into the swing of things a little bit.
Yeah,
feels
man.
Pretty good, as it always often does, So, yeah, man, this is great.
Yeah, it's like putting on an old sock. I don't think that's the expression. This podcast, that's our new slogan. Album of the Year podcast, like putting on an old sock.
Oh man, like a sock that you've been, that you walked outside with and might have stepped in some gum. This is
why we're gonna have to take a little break after season 2.
Yeah, it's just starting.
When that's our slogan, we're gonna have to have those discussions about
exactly.
marketing or whatever.
What direction is this really going?
Yeah,
in?
exactly.
Do people really want that image in their head when they're listening to us? We're already dorky enough.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what have you been up to, man?
Man, I've had a little bit of time hanging out with the kids and kind of doing our thing.
Yeah.
We had some sickness and everything, and then
really?
we kind of overcame that. Yeah, and so it's just been pretty cool. We've been recording. Steph and I have been doing a lot of like musical recording of some of her songs. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast. You and I have talked about it, but she's got a big conference she's going to in August, and it's a big deal to her because she's going to get to work with one of her songwriting heroes. Like they're going to like work on a song face to face for an hour.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's really, really cool actually, and it's a big deal for her. And so we're kind of recording some new demos of her songs, kind of in preparation for that. So she has everything she needs if she needs to showcase her stuff, but also to learn a few things and everything. So
that's great, man.
So that's been really fun. I've been playing a lot of bass guitar, which is crazy. Yeah. I've got that Hofner bass, so I've been pretending to be Paul McCartney over here.
I'm a bass man. I love the bass, man.
Well, we should get you could play some bass guitar.
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah,
all right, fantastic. So we'll start our own band.
I'm a bass man. I love the bass, man. It sounded like I was like a beat poet or something.
Yeah, it's great. Okay.
I was talking about the other day how I hate to bring this up again about how I listen to other podcasts. T-Bone Burnett was on WTF, and he was like,
"Love T-Bone Burnett."
Yeah, and one thing he said that was striking was like, I feel like we're still in the beat generation because people are like, "Oh yeah, man, that's cool." Like we still use terminology that was prevalent back in back then, which is. Kind of interesting. And, beatniks, for all intents and purposes, were like the original like hipsters.
Yeah.
Essentially, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it kind of goes from beatniks to hippies to hipsters.
Yeah,
like
pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty cleanly.
And punk rock was kind of like
counterculture,
extreme,
really, is another term for all that. And those were all like, definitely. I think, though, that he's right in the sense that the beatniks have... that's one of their legacies is terminology. Yeah. What's cool, what's not, that kind of stuff. Even some of that laid back kind of thing. But we're not still in the beat generation, T-Bone. Come on, man.
Yeah, he's probably right.
Yeah. I mean, I get his point, but we have moved on a lot.
The famous beat generation term, selfie.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool, man. I'll take a selfie of you by the weird thing at this restaurant, man.
The great gathering of the beatniks at the fire festival. I don't think it really works.
All the beatniks hang out.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, speaking of festivals, it's not really a festival.
Yeah, tell me what you've been up to.
I saw Jawbreaker again the other night.
Yeah, man.
Dude, they were so much better this time than they were last year. And I don't want to sully last year's experience. It was still a good show, and it was still really good to see them live and hear them play those songs live. But this year just was exponentially better. It was at ACO Live. It wasn't at an outdoor venue. It was a banger set list. I mean, every song they played I knew, which I know most of their songs anyway, but it was one right after the other.
It was the stuff you'd want to hear.
It was the stuff I wanted to hear, and I think everybody kind of agreed. The sound was incredible, immaculate as ACL Live.
Always is. It's great.
And I think they were just tighter. I think they had practiced more and stuff, and they just sounded much more like a unit. It was just really, really good. And the opening band was this band called Bully. They're out of Nashville, I believe. The two female singers, essentially. One of them sings lead, the other one kind of sings backup. But man, they were amazing. They were so good. And the lead singer, she kind of howls and screams through her lyrics, but it's in a really cool and unique way, and kind of reminds me of 90s era like L7, Babes in Toyland, Hole,
kind of right girl
kind
stuff.
Of, yeah, kind of, yeah.
Which is some of my favorite stuff on earth.
Sure, it's great
totally
music, man.
So I'm definitely going to check this band out.
You got to check them out. Yeah, they have 2 albums. Their most recent album I've listened to a little bit, and it's really good.
Yeah. That's great. Did I mention on the podcast that I saw The Lonely Island a couple of weeks ago with Thomas?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you did.
So we went and saw The Lonely Island at ACL.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, didn't I see a show recently? And that was the one.
You texted me. I was at home, and you were like, yeah, check out where I'm at. And I'm like, Kris is seeing The Lonely Island live? What?
It was kind of a like a last minute, hey, dude, will you go with me to The Lonely Island? I was like, sure. Yeah, that's fine.
I'll go to that. Yeah.
I'll go see a guy sing Lazy Sunday or whatever. It's okay. And it was fun. It was all right.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you go to shows, like when a friend brings you to a show, you ever had the situation where it's like everyone else here is loving this and I'm just like,
I'm just the guy that's along for the ride kind of thing.
It was a bit like that, and I've been like, I saw that band, do you know that band Mute Math?
I know the band, yeah.
So I'm not super into that band at all, but they have kind of like a neo-prog thing happening.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw them at Stubbs, this was years ago, and it was like Dolph came into town and he had like a couple of guys with him and we all went and saw them.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those eat your vegetables thing where he was like, you're going to go see this band because it'd be good for you. Like that kind of thing.
Seriously?
Yeah, well, you got to understand my relationship with Dolph is that we can do that kind of thing.
Nourish your soul,
it's like me taking him to a punk rock show, being like, all right, come on, Dolph. Like you're going to see Rancid.
You're going to jump around a little bit, man.
Yeah, we're going to make this happen. Yeah. So,
that's
but this was the inverse of that. But it was interesting because you see a show like that and it's like, oh yeah, or the same deal with The Lonely Island where it's like, I don't know every song. I know maybe a couple of songs, but everyone around me is singing along to everything, and you're like, wow, this like I don't know. It's like you're just a part of something that's not really you, but you get to kind of participate in it. So it was a good show.
That's cool.
It was fun.
Awesome.
Chris Parnell showed up at one point.
They did Lazy Sunday.
They did Lazy Sunday,
yeah.
and I was like surprised by that. I knew they would do the song, but I didn't think Parnell would be there.
Yeah, that's kind of kismet, I suppose.
Yeah,
right?
It was pretty cool.
Pretty awesome.
And I mean, that was the biggest like cheer of the night. And it's one of my favorite songs that they do. But I was kind of surprised it was like in the back half of the pre-encore set list. I was surprised, like if you got Parnell there. Close with it, man. Like that's the biggest pop of the
encore.
night.
Yeah,
like, bring him out.
We got our boy Chris Parnell in the house. Lazy Sunday, y'all. Like, that's the big. That's the.
So they closed with "I'm on a Boat," which of course. But then at that point, I'm like, T-Pain couldn't be here, could he? Like because if Parnell's here and they're not going to close with that, then maybe T-Pain's going to walk out. That would have been
awesome.
He wasn't. No, so it was kind of like okay. But anyway, good show. Check it out if they come to your town.
Very cool. Well, cool, man. Well, so we wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the podcast and kind of what we've done and where we feel like it's going, kind of like not a state of the union, but just kind of like a state of things and kind of how we feel about stuff.
Just so everybody knows,
right now,
this is going to be the last episode of season two.
Yeah.
So we are going to come back with season 3. We're going to take a little bit of time to do some marketing stuff and kind of just to get a little bit of a break. You're going to do some traveling and stuff, and so we're just going to try to get the word out there. So hopefully you may be listening to this podcast right now because we did get the word out a little bit. So
that's the hope, right?
Yeah. So this is going to be a little bit of a laid back episode, for sure. Like it's this. So this isn't really indicative of the thing. Go back and check out some of our regular apps, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah. But so first, before we even get into the state of the show, I think one thing that I would like to say is just again on behalf of both me and Marty, thank you for listening. Yeah. It's been a thrill. Like we've gotten over 1,000 downloads now.
We're at almost 1,300 downloads.
Wow.
And and look, that's all of our episodes. But honestly, I never thought that we would have this. Like I thought we would just do this and maybe a few people would listen here and there. And we've had all of our episodes have had at least 30 to 40 downloads, if not more, so
which is
that's
exciting.
Really amazing.
And I told you, I didn't realize it even got up as high as 1,300 now.
1286.
Once we got over 1,000, we officially became this became more successful than the Martian Armpit Orchestra.
That's right. You texted me. You were like, once we hit 1,000 downloads, this is officially more successful than the Martian Armpit Orchestra.
So if you guys will remember that from a previous episode,
Mars
that was
is made of chocolate fudge.
Which I've got to play some of that sometimes, man. Maybe in season 3 we'll do it.
We'll visit that.
We'll visit that, awesome. Like ridiculous recordings or something.
That sounds great, man.
But I did want to say just before we even talk about some of this, just thank you guys for listening. I think Marty and I we think a lot about trying to present this material in a way that you guys will appreciate and like. And we
Yeah.
know that it goes a little long. There's a nature of the format. I feel like Marty and I can just talk, you know?
Yeah, well, and the relationship that Kris and I had, you know, when we first met and we first realized that we were both dorks for music and we really cared about history and we had a passion for understanding everything about this subject, we would go to lunch and we would kind of leave lunch unfulfilled because I would say, I should have told Kris about this, you know? And then we get in a room with some mics in front of us and we talk for 8,000 hours about music, you know? And you guys get to reap all the benefits, you know? You guys get to hear it, but then again, you know, maybe there's only a select few that want to hear us ramble on about Duran for however long. But at the same time, you know, I feel like the numbers support that some people like it. So that's really good. But I think to dovetail kind of what Kris was saying, you know, we do try to make it as a compact experience as possible, so you're not just on the line for 3 hours listening to the podcast. Although I have heard a couple people that are like, I listen to every second of every one, man. I love it. Like, you know, because some friends of mine have like kind of laborish jobs. Like my buddy Rusty's a painter, so like he'll pop on an episode when he's starting his day in the morning, and he'll just knock it out before he goes to lunch. You know, so that's really cool.
I love that. Like I've had friends of mine say similar things, and I get that not everybody's going to be able to listen to everything because you got a job where you're talking to customers or something like that, like friends of mine. But I appreciate to be honest with you, I think what we're both trying to get at is that I just appreciate any minute that you listen to it because
me too.
To me, we're doing it because it's a labor of love for us.
We love doing this. I love sitting in a room and talking about music with Kris. Like it's one of my favorite things to do. And you know, the fact that we get to do it as a podcast, even if, you know, whoever listens, even if 3 people listened, I would still want to do it. You know what I'm saying?
We said from the beginning, like, we're going to do this, you know, regardless of whether people are listening or not.
Exactly.
But the fact that there are people out there listening has been a thrill.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
Well,
as far as where this show is, season 2 has been really cool. Like, there's been a lot of changes that happened since our first season. We introduced... We had some guests.
We did.
You know, it was really cool. James was our first guest. He was an excellent.
He was really
choice
good
for that.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
And we got to, one thing I loved about that is, you know, he brought Talk, which is something you and I would never have brought on our own.
Across
we
that
never
album. No,
right.
Yeah.
And so right away it sort of proved the value of that. Because
big time.
Here now we both get to react to something new as opposed to like me introducing you to something or whatever. Which I love that too. But I love that it's kind of added another dynamic.
It sure is.
And then Thomas is like the funniest guy.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
those 2 episodes are like 2 of our funniest episodes, you know.
Yeah.
And Steph too, you know, just this recent one, you know, like I felt like those are 2 of our strongest episodes yet.
I agree.
So I really love the idea of that, and we've already got a couple of ideas about what we're going to do in season 3 with a couple of our friends that may stop by for that.
Yeah.
So I'm super looking forward to that. I think that's something we're going to keep doing.
We were just talking about that over dinner. So it's gonna get season 3. I think is gonna get fun, guys. You know, so. Definitely look forward to it because I know we're looking forward to it as always. So,
I also want to point out that, you know, we've been doing this part 1, part 2 thing for every year. Yeah. I think that's worked out pretty well too.
Yeah, I agree.
It's put a little bit of extra work on me from an editing standpoint, just because the
cuts are more and stuff.
Well, and also just because you got to have something every week, you know.
Exactly.
So, but I'm not complaining about
Not sweating it.
I think it's better, you know, overall, and I think it helps. We're giving the same amount or more content that we were doing before, but it also gives people a chance to not be overwhelmed by the 3-hour mark. So I think we're going to keep doing that in season 3.
Yeah, I'm down with that too. I think and I feel like what we wanted to kind of shoot for each of those to be like an hour and a half, essentially. Which we've gone over a little bit on a couple of them, but for the most part, we've kept them, you know, compact enough to where I feel like it's more digestible. A lot of the podcasts that I listen to, each episode is about an hour and a half long. You know? So that's kind of, and you know, that's kind of, I don't want to say it's all I have time for, but then again, like it's digestible. It's something I can listen to an episode on the way to work of something, and I can knock it out in like a few days, or listen to some of it on lunch, you know, what have you. So.
I think it's the right move for us. I have a love for the 3-hour podcast too. I mean, I listen to like one of the podcasts I said, like the REM podcast with Scott Aukerman and Adam Scott. And sometimes those can go a little long. And even when they go long, I'm like, man, you could keep going as far as I'm concerned.
Who is on that podcast?
Adam Scott from Parks and Rec.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Scott Aukerman
he does
from
an REM
Comedy
podcast?
Bang Bang. Yeah, dude. You've never heard that?
No.
Oh, I gotta play you some of that, dude. It's great. They go through each REM album and they talk.
Oh, man.
It's sort of like, what if our podcast, we just acted like crazy improv comedians through the whole thing. It's our podcast if you took all the oxygen out of the room and we just got silly.
Oh, wow. Well, sometimes we get pretty silly.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
You got to check it out.
We should have Adam Scott on sometime.
Oh, that would
Adam,
be
if you're listening,
amazing.
You have an open seat here anytime you want.
We'll talk REM or Radiohead or
you could come into town
U2
tomorrow and we'll cancel all our plans and set the mics up and
Dude, it'd be
you
awesome.
in here.
We'll put you up.
We'll get you some Pokey Joe's.
Yeah, we'll get you some Pokey Joe's barbecue, and you can sleep in our party house that we have reserved for parties.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like Eddie Vedder.
Like Eddie Vedder.
Because we have
Biscuit
that.
Wheels Party House.
That's
Of course we do,
yeah.
right?
Yep, the Biscuit Wheels downtown loft.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So you can hang out in our loft. Dude, we're going to have to get a loft if he actually shows up.
I know.
Realize it's going to be really expensive.
The pressure is
what
on.
What did we do? Why did we... Adam Scott, if you're listening, please don't come because we're going to
have to dip way into our savings accounts,
Yeah,
Adam.
you're going to kill us, Adam. So please, just forget.
Chris has kids to feed, all right?
God, Adam, don't do this to me, all right, man?
All right, all of a sudden, we just drove Adam Scott away from our podcast.
He was totally going to do it, too.
I know.
Man,
God.
what are we doing, Marty?
I don't know.
Okay, we got to get him back now. So, Adam, please come. I've got a couch. Forget the loft thing, because come on, man. You don't want to be a big shot. Don't do that Hollywood crap. Say, no, look, the loft is cool.
It like the plebes,
be like a normal person for once, man. Just come down here.
Oh, that's so funny. So we went from courting Adam Scott to breaking up with him to courting
bringing
him.
it back.
Yeah, to bringing it back around.
Did we just neg Adam Scott?
I think we might have. I think
All
we
right.
might have. Okay. So
let's change subjects.
Chris. Goodness. So what are we talking about today?
Well, the theme is a very loose theme. We wanted to, so we capped off season 1 with a Christmas special. Makes sense. It was around Christmas time,
Sure
was.
And
so we were like, well, how are we going to end season 2? And, I don't know that we can do this every season, but I thought it made sense. We're in summertime. Let's talk about summer songs. It's kind of a seasonal special. So this is our big summer special.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about summer music. It's a little less organized than Christmas because we're getting lazier as the podcast goes on. No. I think the idea, once we said that, I have a couple of things that I prepared. I know you had some stuff that you want to talk about.
Sure.
I think we just throw it in the pot and just see, what does summer music mean to us?
Yeah.
What are some different angles we can come at with it? And I've got a little game we can play if we have a little bit of time. So,
that's a game, huh?
Well, I've got some songs, and you
got some stuff locked and loaded, right?
Right. So we've got some cool stuff to do. So what do you think, man? Summer songs. What does that mean to you? A summer jam?
When you say summer songs or summer music, I think the first thing I think of is hip hop. And when summer, I think the time that summer really resonated with me was in my youth, was when I was a teenager, right? And summer meant cookouts. It meant hanging out with your friends. It meant riding your bike all over the neighborhood, then driving your car different places. That gave it a different meaning. And hip hop really encapsulated my summer experience when I was a kid, and especially when I was a teenager, right? Dr. Dre, Snoop, all the West Coast rap, all the West Coast hip hop, I feel like was tailor-made for the summer experience. It just sounds so good in the summer. And it's just something that you just can't stop listening to when the sun is up for whatever reason. It's crazy, so.
Yeah, it's interesting how California has they've carved out this summer thing. I guess because of the good weather and everything. Yeah. But California, you're thinking about, I've been to California, but to the mountains in California. I've never been on the beach in California.
Right.
And yet, throughout pop history, the West Coast seems to always have something to say about the summertime. And
and the way that I feel about it, the Beach Boys brought California to everyone through pop music. Dr. Dre brought California to everyone through hip hop.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
That.
So I think that those experiences can kind of go hand in hand. And I don't think there's better music for me from when I was a kid. There wasn't better music for me to encapsulate summer than like Dr. Dre, Let Me Ride, or Snoop, Gin and Juice, or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember going to the lake in Belton when I was a teenager, and some just like lake party, real like low key thing.
Yeah.
But someone had a jam box. They were playing Gin and Juice.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just everyone was just hanging out at like a park. It was like a. It was like a, I don't know, a city park that was on the lake. And so we're just, sitting at picnic tables, goofing off at the lake and that. But that was the soundtrack to it. Like that, that and Bob Marley, which, even in the 90s, Marley was still like relevant and still being played.
Well, and reggae has kind of a connection to hip hop. I feel like the DNA that made up hip hop, I think, comes from reggae.
Yeah. And then, of course, all the Jamaica on the beach stuff. I mean, it sort of feels natural, like beach music, too.
Exactly.
And that's always going to be tied to summer in some way.
Exactly. That Bob Marley Legend album, I feel like that little greatest hits thing, which I've brought it up before on the podcast. I don't know if that's the fairest representation of his work. I think if you're really going to go after Bob, you get Babylon by Bus, you get Natty Dread. Those albums are really a complete experience and stuff. And, and there's some good stuff. But I mean, like Three Little Birds, and a lot of that stuff is overproduced. So
I think it works though for its purpose, which is to kind of introduce Bob Marley to a pop crowd. You know? What I mean?
That's fair. That's fair. I can see that. Yeah. Well, cool, man. What about you? I mean, what makes you think of summertime as far as music goes?
It's interesting because when I was thinking about this, I've got a couple of angles to come out at it, but just let me take your angle for a second.
Yeah, sure.
In that same time period, I would have been listening to a lot of is grunge, basically, or post-grunge, and so one of the big summer albums that I remember from my youth is Weezer's Blue album, which has a really great summer jam on it, Surf Wax America, which is totally like going surfing, But so I remember like the summer that came out, listening to almost nothing but that. Like that was just and a lot of music like that, from that same time period will always take me back to those summers. But the one, what's really, and I mentioned this in the 1988 episode, but 1988 was a kind of golden summer for me, even though I was a little kid, basically. It was like, I think the summer between third and fourth grade. And that's when that song Red Red Wine was on the radio.
Oh, yeah,
right?
UB40.
UB40. Yeah. And so that's one of the few songs, and I probably mentioned this in the nostalgia episode before, but like that's a song that when I hear it, strangely enough, like it will always make me think of like swimming in the swim team. And there was like I did a summer school thing, but it was like almost more like a day camp summer school kind of thing where we were studying pirates, and I had to like make a little pirate boat, and like we won this regatta with the boat that I made and stuff. And so it was like, I know this is like cheesy kid stuff, but like that particular song feels like whether, I don't think the guys in UB40 or whatever were like thinking about this is going to be a summer jam, but that was the song for me that, maybe of any song that makes me think of a specific summer. So it is interesting how summer jams like that, they are tied into nostalgia a bit. Like even talking about the Beach Boys, like they're kind of like the gold standard. And I don't want to spend this whole time. We could do a whole episode talking about the Beach Boys and stuff. And I don't think that's that. I don't really want to do that, although I love the Beach Boys. But I think a lot of those songs are tied to nostalgia for people.
Sure, they are.
Bring you back to your teen years. Right. Your sort of summer jams mean more to you as a teenager than they do as an adult. I guess that's really what I'm trying to get at. You know?
I would agree with that.
But that's fine. I don't think there's, just like we talked about in the nostalgia episode, nostalgia isn't bad. Mm-hmm. If the only function of music is nostalgia, that's really sad. Yeah. But I think in the case of summer jams, it works. It's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Because, summer is based on an experience, right? When you think of summer, you think of actually doing things and being out in the open and having fun and seeing family and friends and stuff.
Having time off from school. Summer for us now is still just like working.
Nose to the grindstone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I agree. And when you gave me the idea for this episode, the first thing I thought of was hip hop. And the next thing I thought of was like, okay, what songs have summer in their title? DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, Summertime.
Right.
You know, Mungo Jerry in the Summertime.
In the Summertime, that's
you know, like Summertime Blues.
Yeah, sure.
Is that Eddie Cochran?
Eddie Cochran.
Yeah.
And then The Who did a great version of it. And
yeah,
Dwight Yoakam had a hit with it in the 90s. So it's one that
did,
comes back.
He? Yeah. Wow. That's a kind of a timeless song. It's canon. It's what did you say about Bill Withers? That one, it was a secular hymn. Is what you called Lean on Me, that one episode, which I thought was a really good way to describe that song. It's true, secular hymn.
Yeah.
You might have coined that phrase. I never heard anyone say that.
I don't know if it's probably been used before. I can't claim that one, but I think
fair enough. Just gleaning on the brilliance of Kris Wright. Anyway,
I will not I will not divest you of.
You will not deny me
my brilliance, please.
I grovel at you, Kris.
The first song that I think of I think about the invention of Summertime is the song Summertime from Porgy and Bess, which was a Gershwin song.
Sure.
And it was covered by Billie Holiday. It's covered by Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald. Sam Cooke, our man, has a fantastic version of it.
Yeah.
Billy Stewart. We'll get into some of this in a bit because I do want to talk about those songs in depth. But at a certain point, Summertime comes to have this special meaning, this parties and fun and going to the beach and all of this. And the word summer starts to pop up in music a lot. So those are kind of the examples that you just gave, I guess, I don't know if it's still like that. Like it's interesting. I mean, this idea of the song of the summer started to pop up. I heard Michael Stipe talk about this a lot. That
really?
He was like, well, there's like one big hit that you hear a whole bunch during one summer, and it reminds you of that particular summer, and that's the song of the summer. One of the most famous songs of the summer is My Sharona in 1979. Now, it's not a song about summertime, but it was like the biggest hit.
It has a summer feel for sure.
Yeah, and so for a lot of people who were teenagers in 79, you hear My Sharona, and it takes you back the same way maybe hip-hop or that UB40 song takes me back.
Sure.
Let's talk about, I want to talk about summertime in that context a little bit. Songs that define the summer for a lot of people.
Yeah, sure.
And I think when we're talking about like summer songs, there's a few things that I think are components of a summer song, right? So they need to feel like summer. Now, what does that mean? It's hard to put your finger on it, but I think I would say like Disintegration by The Cure doesn't feel like summer.
No,
you know what I mean? You can listen to it in summer. It might define the summer for you or, but that doesn't feel like summer.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
It's got to have kind of a sunny, hanging out with friends kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think because it's got to work at a party, I think a lot of times it's got to be a little shallow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and not necessarily vapid, but shallow in the way that like a Beach Boys song might be or something, or even like Will Smith Summertime, like it's just about, or like a song like Do What You Like by the Digital Underground.
Yeah, you feel like that's a summer song? That's great.
I think it probably is, right?
See a guy you like, grab him by the biscuits.
Just grab him in the biscuits.
Humpty Hump, man. Such a
underrated in a way. You know what I mean? Like
Shock
man. G as a rapper, I think he's really good.
He's great. Yeah.
But nobody knows that because it's just the Humpty Dance, man.
Digital Underground made a record in like 1997.
Is that the one with Return of the Crazy One on it? Or
no, hold on. They made a record back then that I bought just because I was like, oh, Digital Underground has a new record. I wonder what it's like. And I bought it, and it was really good, man.
Yeah.
I remember blasting that all summer in... Maybe it was 96, but it was the year I worked at the amusement park at Kings Island. Future Rhythm is what it's called, 1996. Yeah, and I listened to it like crazy. All summer, my friends would be like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's a Digital Underground joint, man." Like, and they would be like, "Really?" Like, yeah, they just came out with a new record, and it's awesome. It kind of almost sounds like it was predating like Blackalicious and all that stuff, like People Under the Stairs. Like it kind of sounds like that. If you've ever heard any of those groups, it's really awesome. And it almost kind of was like a precursor to that. But like Dell is in one of the songs. Like it's real good.
Wow.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, some of our listeners may or may not know this, but Tupac kind of got his start, carrying mics for the Digital Underground.
Oh, he was he rapped in the same song. Yeah.
But I think he started, he
started as a dancer.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
And then kind of worked his way in and did his own thing after that. But I think it was, so Digital Underground is this band that like people know for basically a novelty hit, but that has a lot more going with it. But I guess I only bring up Do What You Like as the kind of thing where it's like, that's a song about going to a party and having fun and doing what you like. And that makes sense it's not a vapid song. I mean, it's a silly song, but it's
pretty silly. Yeah.
But it's not a dumb song necessarily. It's a fun party song. And I think that makes sense.
You want to know how many people in the crew just want to let yourself go and do what you like? Is that the refrain?
Do what you like. Yeah.
It almost kind of has like a De La Soul kind of vibe to it,
I think so. Yeah.
I feel like,
It's really fun.
Speaking of De La, I feel like they have an album that kind of resonates with summertime, that Bullhoon Mind State. Have you ever heard that De La record?
No.
There's a song on there called
It's really hard to get a hold of their stuff right now.
It is, unfortunately. Yeah. It's kind of shitty what Tommy Boy is doing to him. I don't know if you know anything about that. And, we're not going to go into it right now on the podcast, but if you Google search, De La Soul Tommy Boy, you're going to get a lot of stuff about how Tommy Boy is basically trying to screw him over. But in any event, that album has a song called Break of Dawn on it that's really, really amazing. And it really just sounds like summer. And the summer between my 8th grade year and my freshman year of high school, I pretty much listened to nothing but that album. And it would like change my life, man. It's an incredible record. And I think that album celebrated like its 20 or 25th anniversary recently. And there were a couple of pieces about it here and there. And a lot of people were like, I didn't get this album when it came out and that kind of thing. But man, when it came out, I loved it. There's a song on there called Ego Trip where it starts off and the beat drops and they're like screaming at each other. And they're like screaming in different octaves, like, yep, big Boma man's going in town. How you do? I got the kind to make you jump. It's so good, man. But
yeah, I mean, have they released stuff that's not good? I mean, there's stuff that's better than others, but
everything they've done is pretty solid. Even like the like Bionics and all that stuff they did in like the late 90s, early 2000s, I think has merit, because like Mike D from the Beastie Boys is on one of the tracks on one of those albums, and like Mosaic Thump and the Grind Date, and
they seem like one of those where like not everything's a classic, but even the stuff that's not classic is still pretty.
Oh, absolutely,
pretty good.
They're putting quality stuff out no matter what they're doing, and that newer record they came out with, The Anonymous Nobody, is pretty good too. It's got Damon Albarn did a couple tracks on it with them too.
I believe that. Is that the one where they used a bunch of they got a whole like 64 albums worth of like material to sample from or whatever?
Yeah, they basically had a bunch of musicians come in and just record like all the music beds and stuff, and that took them like a year and a half to do just that. And then they just kind of put it all together, which is pretty incredible, I think.
Yeah, it's a good way to kind of do sample culture without having to clear 7,000 different estates.
Do you know about Mayer Hawthorne? Have you heard of that? Or you heard of him? He's kind of like a neo-soul kind of guy, and he's on that label Stone's Throw Records, Peanut Butter Wolf's label, and basically his thing was like, this is what I read, I think maybe like 10 or 15 years ago, he was like, I want to be a rapper. I'm going to go ahead and try. And he grew up in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, Michigan, in the same neighborhood as Andrew W.K. You know that dude?
Yeah, of course.
So they were in goofy bands growing up. And then
they started. That's good summer music right there.
Yeah, it is. So they kind of went their separate ways. And Mayer went out to L.A. to try and be like a rapper. So he was like, I don't have any money. I can't clear samples. I'm going to make my own like soul songs that I can sample from and just sample those and rap over those. So he made like an album worth of just like straight up soul songs where he played all the instruments and he sang. And then Peanut Butter Wolf heard this and he was like, why don't you just make one of these albums, dude? Like, why don't you be this? This is awesome. And he was like, yeah, sure. Okay, whatever. And like, he's done like 5 records and all of them are real, real good, man.
God,
like,
I'm going to have to check that out for sure. That sounds right up my alley.
It's awesome. It's awesome stuff, man. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And yeah, that's probably good summertime music as well,
Yeah. I think, going back to like my definitions of it, I think it should be summery. I think it should have wide appeal, which means that it tends to drive towards pop music.
Sure.
And I think it should be a little basic, but something that you could play at a party, right? Right. And so in that spirit, this is a game that I have set up for you, man, and we'll just see how this goes if this is something that's fun, right?
Let's do it.
So I made a list of 3 what I consider like definitive summertime jams.
Yeah.
from each decade since the 50s.
Okay, so we start with the 50s?
We start with the 50s.
Okay,
Go all the way back, which we never get to talk about the 50s. So this is kind of cool.
This is interesting.
This is going to be a chance to talk a little bit about the 50s. We can talk about each one of these songs, or if you're like not interested, or we can move on. We don't have to like labor it, because I don't want this podcast to go 3 hours. Like, this is just more of a chance to talk about it.
So you got 3 songs. You're gonna kick them off, and then you want me to pick one.
And then I want you to pick one to be our definitive summer jam based on that. So
cool.
I sort of filter it first, but then you get final say. So
Fair
that's
enough.
the thing. And folks, don't at me. If you think there's better summertime jam for each one of these decades, actually do. Yeah, let us know on Instagram or something.
At us.
At us. Yeah, please at me. Well, I'm really like a mess of contradictions today, man. But okay, so
all right, man.
So I'm going to go with 3 jams from the 50s.
What you got?
So some of these have already been mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Summertime Blues by Eddie Cochran. Great track. I think it's the definitive like rock summertime song from the 50s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Eddie Cochran, pretty cool, like rockabilly dude.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
And that's it. This was a huge track for me as a kid. One of the few times that I used to call. So when I was a kid, I've mentioned this before, but I listened to oldies a lot up until 88. Yeah. And this radio station there was called KFMK, which is great because KFMK then became a rap station here in town in Austin.
No way.
Instead of in Houston, it was an oldie station. Mm-hmm. Then it became a rap station for a short period in Austin.
No shit.
And then I think it's now like a Christian radio station. Yeah. So it's still around, but it's gone through lots of format changes. It's
That's
gone through more personality changes than David Bowie. But so anyway, the one time that they played one of my requests on KFMK, I called them a lot. And
when it was an oldie station.
When it was an oldie station, not the
50s. Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, I would always call and be like, could you play the Monster Mash? And they'd be like, no, we're not playing the Monster Mash.
You play Wooly Bully.
Yeah. They weren't always, Dream Lover or whatever. No way, kid. But I called once and I must have sounded so pathetic because I called in and I was like, can you play Summertime Blues? And the guy laughed. I remember him laughing.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can absolutely play that. And the next song, the very next song was Summertime Blues. And I know he must have heard this and thought, I got an 8-year-old on the line.
Yeah.
It's the middle of July.
Yeah.
He's bored out of his mind. He's got the Summertime Blues.
Yeah.
Like, this kid needs it.
He needs
and he
this
played
song
it.
right
and I
now.
I remember flipping out because it was like they actually played my request.
Fucking cool,
in Houston,
man.
Texas, like
big city.
A big market,
Yeah,
totally. And that was one of the big, it's back at an age when that sort of thing means a lot to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're 8 years old and they're playing your song.
Yeah,
amazing.
like, man, who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thought it would ever happen?
Also, that song I knew from the La Bamba soundtrack. So I don't remember who does I don't think it's Los Lobos that does it. I think, I guess I could look it up. Hold on, let's see. Because is it Marshall Crenshaw that does it? Or
I don't know. I didn't even realize that song was on the La Bamba soundtrack.
Yeah, they have a version on that Brian Setzer does it.
Oh, okay,
that makes sense that Setzer would play Eddie Cochran.
So just as a brief aside, Brian Setzer has kind of like a country tinged album called The Knife Feels Like Justice. Have you ever heard that album?
No, I don't know that one.
It's kind of fun, actually. Yeah.
I could believe that.
It's got a song called Bobby's Back on it, and it's kind of it's like a major key banger. Bobby's back in town, blah, blah, blah. And then Bobby ends up crashing his car into like a telephone pole at the end of the song.
That's what we're missing from this podcast, because the 50s is full of songs like that,
Yeah, and when I was talking about that Paul Westerberg, that Silver Naked Ladies, I think he was trying to do like a Brian Setzer song. And it just failed miserably. But but The Knife Feels Like Justice, actually kind of a good album.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
I believe it. Brian Setzer can be a little bit like too self-consciously throwback for me.
Yeah.
Like when he did the Brian Setzer Orchestra, it's like a swing band. Yeah. It's kind of, I'm not as into that. Yeah. But like the Stray Cats or whatever, like I'm down with that. You want to do some sort of self-conscious rockabilly stuff?
Sure.
I'm along for the ride. I'm cool with that. It's not the only thing I'm going to listen to, but I'll listen to. I'll pick up a record or two.
Right.
So Summertime Blues. So that's choice one.
Okay.
2, Summertime. This is the Porgy and Bess song I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Now, there's a couple of great
that.
versions of this song, but the one that I think most people would consider definitive is the Ella Fitzgerald version. So haven't got a chance to talk about Ella much.
No, we haven't.
Now, you're a jazz guy. Now, Ella Fitzgerald is like, she's a jazz singer for sure.
Sure,
But
yeah.
she's a bit on a pop side too, like pop jazz.
Right.
What do you think of her in general?
I mean, she's great. I can't say that I know a lot of her work, unfortunately. I'm not really big on jazz vocal stuff. I mean, not that it's not good. I haven't taken the time, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm a bit of a neophyte when it comes to jazz. I don't know that much stuff, but this is definitely for a lot of people one of the most famous. And of course, it's got Louis Armstrong.
Oh, really?
Now, we may have to skip a little of this because it does start with Louis' part, which is great.
Strings, movements.
This is very 50s. I mean, like straightforward.
Orchestral.
I think this is a live take that I'm playing here, but
Ooh. This is dirty, man.
I love Louis Armstrong's horn playing. He's one of those who it's nobody else. Like the moment you hear him playing,
uncharacteristic. Like you can't.
I heard that he, like on his lip, like he had developed such a callus, part of the way that he bends those notes is a result of the way his lip was kind of fashioned by having that horn in his mouth all the time.
Yeah, I don't know this song. I don't think I've ever heard it. Well, you said like it's his parts first, but
like I said, we may skip ahead a little bit here. But for now, let's listen to it. Heard Wynton Marsalis talking about Louis Armstrong once, maybe in the Ken Burns jazz
documentary.
Oh, let's see. Does Ella come in here? But he said the thing about Louis Armstrong is there was no filter between.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, it's so good.
And the living is easy.
Is this the how they like figured it as a Sublime song? It's kind of.
Oh, they do. Yeah, totally. Yeah, they sing a little bit of it. So this is a standard. This is a song that like was covered multiple times.
I hate to bring up Sublime. But
it's kind of a strange like Ella Fitzgerald and Sublime. That famous line, "Your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking," which the Pixies use.
Oh, do they?
We'll let her finish this off. I mean, as like a pop jazz singer goes, you don't really get better than Ella Fitzgerald. Like that, and that is a classic performance. Now, the only downside I think to that song as a summertime jam is it's really slow. Yeah, it's got almost a sinister nature to it a little bit. Yeah. And I think that's a feature, not a bug. Yeah. But that's another choice. So we got two choices so far: "Summertime Blues," "Summertime." And then I added "My Blue Heaven" by my boy Fats Domino. Do you know that song?
I don't.
Yeah, so we'll hear a little bit of that. And this is an old standard from like the 20s. And,
really? Oh, wow.
If you listen to any other version or any version not based on Fats Domino's version, it sucks. It sucks. Because it's one of those like 20 songs where they go, "We're happy in my blue heaven." Like really cheesy. But then Fats Domino gets a hold of it, and it sounds like this.
When Wilper will call.
Oh, yeah.
And even is night.
That's good, man.
Hurry to my blue heaven.
You got that.
Great.
Turn to the right.
So you got to hear the
bright light that leads you to my blue.
Kind of like a do-wacky-do kind of ragtime thing, but like
it's good.
Find a cozy place, fireplace, cozy room. On the nest, that is where the roses bloom.
Fats Domino was one of my favorite guys from the 50s.
He's great.
Baby makes three. That's a famous line. Just Molly and me and the baby makes three.
Yeah,
We're happy in my blue heaven. It's a song about and this song means more and more to me as you know I've had kids and everything,
Sure.
you know. But it's a song about being happy in your small little life with your family,
Yeah.
and just that it's heaven. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
it's
in
great,
the suburbs.
yeah.
So I think it's a great sort of sunny day, summer kind of jam.
Right.
So those are our three choices. We got the Summertime Blues, we got Summertime, and My Blue Heaven by Fats Domino. Man, what do you think as far as the ultimate summertime jam from the 50s?
I mean, I think Summertime Blues, there's no question.
I think that's a good
Now,
choice.
that Fats cut is definitely amazing.
Yeah,
you know?
every one of these is great. But
right, but Summertime Blues, you can't beat it, especially the Eddie Cochran version, man.
yeah,
It's
I'm
like-
with you on that. Summertime Blues. So we're going to say
I'll be
Summertime.
completely honest, I don't care for the covers of that song.
Yeah?
I think the original's the best.
I think it's probably Eddie Cochran is just a no nonsense rockabilly dude.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And tragic story too. You know, the poor guy dies in a car crash. You know, and all
not know
that. So
that,
he's one of those
actually.
guys like Buddy Holly who had more to give than we got. So it's his signature song.
What do you think? How did the universe kind of like curse all these musicians back then? You know, I mean, I think that we were just trying to figure out like how transportation worked, and you know, cars and airplanes were certainly not as safe as they were now, but somehow they had to take the lives of all these musicians, man. You know,
Some of it
it's
too
nuts.
was just that rock and roll was so underground at the time.
Yeah.
That like if you read
Yeah.
about Buddy Holly and Richie Valens on that tour, it's a disaster before they even
Yeah,
get on the plane.
exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're all touring in this rundown bus
Yeah.
with no heater,
Yeah.
and they're playing these little rinky-dink
like a
dances
punk
and
rock
stuff.
thing, man,
It is
you know?
totally
Yeah.
like a punk rock thing. You know,
Totally.
like it very well could be like some small time
Excuse me.
punk rock band from the 70s
Yeah,
going through the same
yeah.
thing where they're playing for a small amount of people. I mean, they were playing that Crystal Lake or wherever it is that they played, which sounds like
Lake Wazzapamani.
yeah, they're playing some little place, and it's
Yeah.
like they're playing for a dance. Like the people
Yeah.
came to dance. They didn't
Right.
come to like stand around and cheer for Buddy
Yeah,
Holly. They came to
yeah,
dance to
yeah.
Peggy Sue. You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy. Or do La Bamba.
Yeah.
You know, and
Oh, Donna.
so I think part of the problem is that they weren't flying united.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they weren't. They didn't have the money in it yet
Yeah.
to be taken care of, and so
Well,
stupid
and there
crap
was.
happened.
Have you ever see that show Drunk History?
yeah. It's a
So they do an episode about Ralph Nader trying to push the
Yeah.
legislation through to get seatbelts in
I
cars.
haven't seen that episode, but that's,
And the the comedian that's talking about cars back in the 60s, like cars were not built to be safe. Cars were fucking psychotic sexual dreamboats. Is how and it's kind of true. Like automobiles back then were sexy. They were like they were big and they were round and they were like, they were like, inanimate sex objects in a way.
it's true.
I felt like,
and to be honest, those cars are still sexy. I had
Yeah,
a friend who totally
absolutely
didn't
they
deserve
are.
it, by the way. And if you're listening, you know you didn't deserve that car, bro. But in high school, he had a 1958 Bel Air.
What?
Gorgeous car and fun to work on. Like we would pop the hood and you could just climb in it, and
No
work on it.
shit.
Yeah, it
That's
was
fucking cool.
It was so cool. So they were still cool. Like, and Thomas would pull up in his neon and just look like such a toolbox
Of
next
course,
to my buddy's
Thomas
Bel Air.
drove a Neon.
Yeah. Thomas, you drove that.
That's
neon, man.
great.
You
Sorry,
know you would
Thomas.
drive that neon today.
He's gonna come back. He's like, I'm gonna be in your fucking next episode.
Yeah, he's going to come back to defend himself in his neon. That was a good car, okay?
Thomas, you have a very nice Subaru now. I've been in it before.
Yeah.
You're a very good driver.
Yeah.
Drove me to the Leander Beer Market.
Yeah, we love you, Thomas.
We love you, Thomas. That's what we're trying to say, really, basically.
So-
But anyway,
I think that's part of it. So I think a combination of just bad transportation of the time and
Yeah,
just the fact that
that's
people
fair.
weren't respected and treated like they should have been.
Yeah.
And,
Fair
Buddy
enough.
Holly should have been on a jet. Or
they should have been
something,
rolling
He
out the
should-
red carpet for him in every
Yeah.
city, man. you know?
Absolutely, they should have.
Yeah.
Love you, buddy. And if we ever do get a chance to talk about the 50s, we're going to go hard and talk about Buddy Holly because I love.
We'll probably cut this out, but we should just have an episode, the 1950s, the
Yeah.
episode.
We should, yeah.
like either a lunchtime or even like we can do an anthology if you want to talk about it for an hour and a half. That's cool. But since we're not covering the 50s, I say the best thing. Let's just have the 1950s and just knock it all out.
Just
sometime.
have a good
Yeah.
conversation about,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
the 5 biggest, most important artists.
Sure.
Chuck Berry, Little Richard,
Yeah.
Buddy Holly, Elvis Presley,
Exactly.
and your mom. I don't know. Who would be the 5th person on there?
Shit. Good question. Those are all.
That's the
those.
Mount
That's
Rushmore
like the
right
Holy
there.
Trinity right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anyone that even comes close to those guys.
Maybe a jazz cat or
Yeah,
something.
maybe. But even then, I mean, jazz was kind of obtuse, and it was kind of like
Jerry Lee Lewis, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
He's the fifth member, though.
Yeah. Ray Charles, is he 50s? He was
Kind
more
of.
60s, right?
Early 60s
Yeah.
is really like
Yeah.
Songs of Custer and Western is 63, and
Right. Yeah.
he had some sides in the 50s though, but
He had some sides.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry. We can get to go.
Yeah, we'll get back
Yeah,
onto it,
yeah,
but I agree with
yeah.
you 100%.
Yeah.
Season 3, we'll do an episode on the 50s. Let's do it.
Cool.
All right, so we got a chance to talk about the 50s. Loving that, man. Good
Yeah.
choice. Let's talk 60s now. Now,
Let's do it.
What's the band from the 60s that's most tied to summer? This is a no-brainer.
Beach Boys.
Beach Boys, got to be, right?
Duh.
So
Yeah.
I got to put a Beach Boys jam on here. I'm not going to put all of them.
Right.
And I put, I think the ultimate Beach Boys summer jam. Okay, so some people would say Warmth of a Sun, but I think that's too introspective. I think you need a song that's like a, that's a straight up summer song, right?
Yeah.
I picked Don't Worry Baby. I think that's probably the ultimate.
Yeah.
It's got a kind of nice mood to it. It's not too much of like Beach Boys and Barbara Ann mode or whatever.
Or like Surfing USA or something.
Right. It's not too like on the nose.
right.
Like it's summertime now. Everybody, summertime, summer. It's not quite like that.
Yeah.
That was certain whatever. Certain summer. Let's go.
so funny.
Also, we're hanging on the beach.
Let's go surfing now. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So Don't Worry Baby is my point. My pick for the Beach Boys. Hot Fun in the Summertime by Sly and the Family Stone.
Ooh.
So a hard one to beat, right? That's a really great summer jam. And then the same song we just listened to by Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald, but you wouldn't recognize it, the Billy Stewart version of Summertime, which is my personal favorite version of Summertime.
Yeah.
Now, I've played this for you before. But I'm going to play a little bit of it now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Just because our audience may not be familiar with this. I think this is a great example of how a performer can mutate a song to fit their own vision. And it is so much fun and crazy.
Yeah,
listen to this crazy guy.
Now, this is Summertime, like...
Same Porgy and Bess
Porgy and
song,
Bess, okay.
right? So like I said, it was a standard. So if you remember, the other one kind of slowly moved in.
So this is kind of the same movement, but it's almost a little more modern sounding.
But also incredibly idiosyncratic.
Yeah.
Listen to the way this guy goes. This is... That guitar is awesome too.
So good.
All right. It still has that sinister thing, but it's fast,
It does, yeah.
A summertime, and the living is easy.
So same song.
Fish are jumping, don't you know, my darling? I said it right now,
This-
and the cotton is high. Like a, your letter is a rich girl, and your mommy's good looking. Yeah.
So it's almost like a jazz cat taking
Yeah,
it on because
yeah.
he's doing it his own way. This is his take on it.
Yeah.
If the song wasn't well known, it probably would work. But
Yeah.
as a reinvention of that song, I think it's great. And to me, it's a great summertime jam, and I play it every summer. So, so those are
And that one sounds more like summer than the original one. Like that kind of makes me feel like, because when it first kicked off, I was like, oh, this still isn't the right vibe. This still isn't the right summer song. Then his voice kicked in, and then like the band behind him kicked in, and I was like, okay, all right, I see this.
see
now.
where
I
it's
see
now.
where
It
it's
feels
going.
like a summer take for sure. So,
Yeah.
so three great tracks, right? So, "Don't Worry, Baby" by the Beach Boys, "Summertime" by Billy Stewart, and "Hot Fun in the Summertime," Sly and the Family Stone. Which one do you think you'd pick?
God, I think it's between Sly and Beach Boys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say Sly.
Sly, okay. Hot Fun in the Summertime. I'm glad we're getting a chance to rep Sly just simply because I almost picked stand for 69. And I feel like, maybe we'll circle back around and talk about Sly and the Family Stone at some point, but what a great band. Maybe
amazing.
We'll get to There's a Riot Going On or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, the 70s. Now, interesting thing about the 70s, summertime songs start to fall off a little bit, like songs that are explicitly about summer.
Yeah.
I had a hard time finding like 3 really like definitive summer jams from the 70s. So let's see what you think. I got It Just Makes It In the Summertime by Mungo Jerry. You mentioned this earlier.
I think you gotta say that song.
Yeah, it's got to kind of be brought up. The only problem with it is it's kind of creepy in retrospect because he's like in the summertime. You got women.
All the women I'm a date rapist. Oh my god! Like, whoa, wait a second, bro.
Yeah, easy now, man. Like hide your secret camera, okay? Like what's going on? Yeah, you got women on your mind. Oh my gosh. Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find. I don't know, man. But I still think the vibe of that track is so good. It reminds me of like the Love and Spoonful too. Like I thought it was a Love and Spoonful song for the longest time. Because it has that same "What a day for a daydream" kind of like thing. So okay, in the summertime, "Summer" by War. So War has a track for the summer. Now it's a little bit more. It's a bit like the Summertime, where it's not like a big party anthem kind of, but it's a great track. And then. Rockaway Beach by the Ramones from Rocket to Russia. So of those 3, do you want to hear any of those or do you want to just make your choice?
Let's do, what was the one? So we have Mungo Jerry, we have Rockaway Beach.
And we have Summer by War.
Summer. Play the War song. I don't know if I've heard that.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's not, I don't think it was a huge hit or anything.
Also, so we were talking at dinner, so the Marlena Shaw, California Soul, that song is 69.
It is.
Yeah, I thought it was like 72.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
A lot of songs about the summer in the 60s, man. That was a good decade for summer jams.
For sure.
Let's hear a little bit of Summer by War. It has a similar like lowrider vibe at some point, but now this being War, it's a long song, but
ooh, this groove is kind of tight.
Yeah. I love this band.
Riding round town with all the windows down. 8-track playing all
I love that too. 8-track playing all your favorite sounds.
Yeah, this is pretty dope.
It makes it sound nice and 70s for you folks.
Rhythm of the bongos fill the park.
The timbales or something. It's great.
Musicians trying to get a star. 'Cause it's summer. Summertime is here. Yes, it's summer.
So obviously very
Time of year.
a little. I mean, especially for War, a pretty straightforward lyric there,
Right.
But I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's a great song.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm going to choose, I think Rockaway Beach is the song.
Yeah, that's
because it's the Ramones. It's at the time it's new. It's like it's rock and roll. It's punk rock. It's like it's not been done before, and it's a fun song about the summer. And about,
we talked a little bit about how the Ramones really tie rock and bubblegum and everything together.
And all that
and
stuff,
this is a great example of that.
Is.
Let's just hear a little bit of it
let's
in
do
case some folks haven't heard this before.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So it sounds like the Ramones all the way. I want some.
It's not hard, not far to reach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. Up on the roof, out on the street, down in the playground, the hot concrete. Boys ride.
I just want to hear that chorus because you can hear that 60s thing all the way.
Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock.
So that's off of Rocket to Russia, which is probably the Ramones album I listened to the most as a kid. And so that's always going to kind of take me back.
Sure. And I think, the Rockaway Beach, I think that really ties it intrinsically to girl groups and pop
Yeah.
music and bubblegum and all that.
You could imagine the
You can-
Shangri-Las doing that
yeah,
song
right.
easy.
Then
you know,
there was like a Ramones Lullabies album that my old roommate Nick told me about or had or
what,
something.
like a lullaby version
And
of
they
Let's
have
Go
a
Sniff Some Glue.
they have a lullaby version of Rockaway Beach, and it's like
Oh,
the
it's
kid
perfect.
is like rock Rockaway Beach. It's like adorable, dude.
Oh, I bet it is, man.
Yeah.
I'm down with that, dude. I'm cool with like a punk rock song defining the 70s for beach music. Okay,
For sure.
3 big heavy hitters for summer music in the 80s.
In the 80s, let's hear them.
So I'm just going to rattle all 3 of them off because
Okay.
you're going to know them right away.
Yeah.
Walking on Sunshine, Katrina and the Waves.
Yeah.
Vacation by the Go-Go's. Ooh. Rio by Duran
Duran. Shit.
Yeah. So
God, those are all 3 really good.
all
man.
great choices for like a summer jam. So
Yeah.
I don't think you need to hear those. Like, and I hope our audience knows all 3 of those songs. Those are straightforward. I almost threw Love Shack on there as well, which I don't think it had a chance against these others.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of like really because the 80s were all day glow and sunny and fun, so it kind
Exactly.
of fits that they would do
Yeah.
summer songs. So.
Yeah. Man. So Katrina and the Waves. Well, actually, Duran Duran Rio, I think I kind of got to axe first just because it sounds kind of dated.
Yeah,
Like, you
I
know,
think so.
A lot of dated synthesizers and production choices in there. Same with Katrina and the Waves.
Yeah.
And then what was the middle one? I'm sorry.
Vacation.
That's the one.
By the Ghost. That's the one.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Yeah.
That's one of the most explicit.
Because
like,
it is
gotta get away.
It's timeless, man. Like, you know, that's definitely the one. Vacation, all I ever wanted. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so good. Okay, now the 90s. There's going to be summertime versus summertime here.
Yeah.
Plus, I got another a curveball. So, "Summertime" by Will Smith, by
Well,
Fresh
DJ
Prince
Jazzy
and
Jeff and
Jazz,
the Fresh Prince, yeah.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Everyone should know that song. That's a
Yeah.
great one. We were talking about it earlier just
Yeah.
for the sake of it,
Right.
but you brought up a good point about that feeling almost like separate. Or what was you?
Well, I feel like it's the most earnest artistic statement that Will Smith has ever made
Yeah.
through lyricism. You know, like, you know, there's nothing deep on "I think I can beat Mike Tyson" or
Right.
"I'm going to Miami, welcome to Miami." Like, but this song, he's actually talking about growing up, and he's talking about what it's like, and you actually kind of feel what it's like to be growing up in West Philadelphia in the summertime, you know, and that's amazing. The basketball's short in the summer, got girls there,
Yeah.
everybody fronting and mixing, you know, 2 miles an hour, so everybody sees you. It's really good, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I remember hearing it. So, I knew Will Smith, the Fresh Prince from his first album, for in Parents Just Don't Understand and all that. And basically, he seemed like a novelty artist. And at the time, we were kids, so we bought it. We liked it. But by 91, 92, when Summertime came out, I remember when this song hit, it was like, oh, it's like a real song from the Fresh Prince. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it still feels that way to me a little bit.
And like that album Home Base, it's like it's all really hokey shit, and like there's a few songs on that album where he like tries to be serious and stuff, and it just doesn't work. But the only song of his that really works outside of being a novelty is that song, is Summertime. Yeah.
So I think it would be a good choice. But there's also a great song by the Sundays called Summertime that came out in the 90s. Do you know that song?
Sundays.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't know the Sundays. So they're kind of like, I don't know if you're going to dig this then, but let me.
Well,
play
I mean,
you-
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, so the Sundays were kind of similar to like a Cranberries kind of
Oh,
thing.
okay.
But some people say better. James Rawson and I had a conversation about that, actually, how much he liked the Sundays back in the day. And, well, let's hear a little bit of this song.
Yeah, let's do it.
You may recognize it. You could definitely imagine a song like this, especially in the 90s alternative moment. Like, this would be a good thing to drive down with your girlfriend to the beach. Let's skip a little bit to the chorus.
Yeah. Oh, I think I've heard this song before.
Yeah. There was definitely like a movement in the 90s that like if you're going to do rock music, it had to be very serious. It had to be about something. Exactly. It had to be about your deep, heroin poetry and all this stuff. And I think it's nice to have something that...
Your deep heroin poetry.
Yeah. As opposed to your shallow heroin poetry, which you can keep that, okay?
Yeah, fuck you and your shallow heroin poetry.
I want the deep stuff, man. But like everything...
black tar.
Everything has to be like really like deeply felt. And it's nice to have like a pretty credible alternative rock song that is just about a relationship. And so I think it's a pretty good one. I don't know if it's your kind of speed, but...
I can't say that I really was into it, man. Okay. I hate to say it. Sorry.
It's all good, man. So I guess that's... And then the other
maybe
one...
I need to hear it or maybe I might need to hear some more of their stuff just for context, I'm not really familiar with the band. I think I've heard that song maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
The refrain is a little memorable. So
I think she performs it really well. She's a great singer.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
And then Summer Babe by The Pavement.
Nice.
So off of Slanted and Enchanted,
sure.
That song, of course, right? So,
of course.
For Pavement's an interesting band. We talked about with the Replacements how critics' darlings like Pavement is like the Replacements of the 90s.
Oh,
for
definitely,
sure.
Man. Like maybe a little like more jammy edge, but sure. Yeah.
But it was like they could just do no wrong or whatever. But this is off their first record. This was their first single, I think.
Really?
So yeah. So
Slanted and Enchanted was their first album.
Yeah. So I'm positive.
Okay.
Well, I mean, unless they have like some weird like garage EP or something.
Yeah, maybe they did. You're probably right.
Yeah, because it goes Slanted and Enchanted, Crooked Rain, Wowie's Owie.
Wowie's
right?
Owie, yeah.
So,
and then Gold Sounds is on. No, never mind.
We get to Brighten the. I started losing track.
Corners,
losing track with them after a bit. Terror Twilight, I think, is the last one.
Terror Twilight's the last one, and supposedly it's just to see glorified Stephen Malcolm's solo album.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Slanted, Crooked Rain, Wowie's Owie, Brighten the Corners, Terror Twilight. Okay.
Wow,
cool.
we got it right on the nose, dude. Yeah. See, so
good work, Crow. You got it right on the nose. I'm the one fucked up. But,
cool, so it's I think this is going to be a first round knockout based on just your reaction here. But Summer Babe, Summertime, DJ Jazzy Jeff, Fresh Prince, or Summertime by the Sundays.
I mean, it's Fresh Prince, man.
Yeah. So
you can, no question. I'm sorry, no offense, Stephen Malcolmus, but or the Sundays.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now this is going to be where we turn into cranky old men, I think, because we're going to now we're getting to the 2000s. Ooh. And
are we doing the 2000s and the 2010s?
Yeah, and the 2010s. Okay. So we got two more of these. So yeah, the 2000s, things get tougher when we start talking about singles. And I want to go back to something I was saying. I wanted them to have wide appeal. So this is very pop-optimistic. They're not necessarily like my favorite songs, but there's the songs that I thought typified the summer during this period. And maybe I'm wrong. 2010s you're going to hate, but 2000s maybe we got some stuff.
I feel like I'm not going to know a lot of this stuff because the 2000s I didn't know what any of the pop. It's when I stopped listening to the radio, so I didn't know anything.
Oh, you're going to know these. It's just three. Okay. The first one, I think what most people, when you're talking about the idea of songs of the summer, this ended up like top of the list on like every article that I read about the 2000s, and I think you'd agree. Crazy in Love by Beyonce. So that's Beyonce, Jay-Z on it, of course. That Shy Lights sample, one of the greatest samples ever. Now, I'm not even going to get any farther than that.
Yeah, you know the song. Okay, all right, fine.
So Crazy in Love is a choice. I also added Underneath It All by No Doubt because it's got the Lady Saw thing and it's got a bit of a...
That's kind of a cool song. Yeah,
I really like...
I actually... Underneath It All.
And that
really
those
pretty
horns,
melody. And
I know the album's called Rocksteady.
Is it the reggae album they did, right?
Yeah. And I love that album. I mentioned it before. I think that album's like super underrated and stuff because a lot of people... I don't know, like Tragic Kingdom is like such this totemic album for them, which it's not a big deal to me.
Me neither.
But to me, Rocksteady is where they became something really special. Yeah. And I think that track works. I think it's a good one. And then, third choice, great summer song, Heavy Metal Drummer by Wilco.
Oh, yeah.
I think that just that drummer rhymes with summer thing. I think you can't, and it's nostalgic and it's got that vibe. And I think you can turn that on at a party and it'll be a hit every time.
I couldn't agree more.
So
let me, before we pick one, there's an honorable mention I want to bring up, and it's the Atmosphere song Summertime. And it was off one of his EPs that he did. It's called Sunshine, actually. Sunshine, sunshine, it's fine. I feel it in my skin, warming up. I'm like, can we play a little bit of that?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. And now this song, you want to talk about bringing you to a place. It's really... it kind of tells us, the beginning tells a little bit of a story, but then it's like he kind of transitions it into how much he loves the summer, and it's just really kind of beautiful, man. Lyrically, yeah. It's got a great ant beat too.
I'm already liking this piano part.
Ain't no way to explain or say how painful the hangover was today. In front of the toilet, hands and knees, trying to breathe in between the dry heaves. My baby made me some coffee, afraid that if I drink some, it's probably coming right back out me. Couple of Advil, relax and chill at a standstill with how bad I feel. I think I need
Man, I love this.
Great
I've
song.
never heard this before.
Great song.
You've mentioned Atmosphere multiple times, and I saw a buddy at work wearing an Atmosphere shirt, and I'm like, I gotta listen to this. I think backpack hip hop or what is it? Like, I haven't really listened to
indie rap. Yeah,
like I didn't really get this stuff back in the day. Like, I didn't even wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Took a look and a breath, and there's that bike that I forgot that I possessed.
Yeah, I like this. It's kind of
so
like you said,
good,
a bit of
man.
a storytelling vibe.
Sunshine,
Sad clown,
sunshine, it's fun.
bad summer.
Sad Clown, yeah. So he had a full series of Sad Clown EPs, and he has one for every season.
Oh, okay.
And that was, this is the summer one, and then he has like a fall, winter, spring one too.
Well, that might be a good choice, man, although it's not on my list. So we'll give that as an honorable mention for sure.
Yeah, no worries.
If you got to pick between...
I wanted to bring it up just because I thought it was worthy of talking about, just because of the topic. But
I love that. That's going to be... We'll add that. We'll do a summertime playlist. We haven't put one together yet, but by the time this comes out... We'll add that to
buddy.
it. We'll start
idea.
with that one, man.
We
Just
don't want-
that, and then "My Blue Heaven" by Fats Domino right after.
Like over
Just
and over.
Total, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
That sounds dope.
But okay, so the three tracks I got here: "Crazy in Love,"
So-
"Underneath It All," and "Heavy Metal Drummer." What
I'm
are we
gonna
gonna
be
pick?
honest. These are three really good songs,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Like, fuck. I thought this was gonna be a shitty list, but I'm probably gonna have to. If I have to get rid of one, it's probably gonna be the No Doubt song, even though it's a great song.
I understand.
And then we're up against Beyonce and Wilco.
Yeah, that's like,
And that's-
oh my gosh, you know what I mean?
I gotta say Wilco, just personally. I mean, the Beyonce song is great, but I think you gotta say Heavy Metal Drummer, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just so good.
Yeah.
Sorry, no offense, Beyonce. You're
We love you.
fabulous. We love you.
For the record, I think I probably would have gone with "Crazy in Love," but I wouldn't have been happy about it because at any time to boost Wilco and that Hotel Foxtrot, I would do it. So, but still, great choice, man. Heavy Metal Drummer. Very good. Okay, now let the pain begin.
Here we go.
Because we got the 2010s, and I picked three songs. And I can't really put my hand on my heart and say I love any of these three songs. But
I want. There's one song I'm thinking of that I want to see if you actually did pick. But go ahead.
I did put one on. Well, here's the thing: like 2010s, like Superchunk has a great summer song from 2012.
Yeah, it's on Majesty Shredding or
I can't remember
yeah,
what
that's
it's
a great
but
album.
It's so great.
Yeah.
But I also now it's not on my list.
Wires, that's
not on my list. But the only reason is it's like I wanted to get stuff that people would have heard. You know, would be known outside of like indie rock circles. You know, and because it goes back to my idea of like songs of the summer. Okay, but here we go. I may have screwed myself over though because the three songs I picked. Oh my God, this is going to be so painful. Okay. Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen. Your favorite song. You were just telling me how much you love this track.
I love it.
I think this is maybe it's associated with me because I remember seeing like in the Summer Olympics, like they played this a bunch and like the Olympic team in 2012 did like some viral video with it or whatever.
A bunch of sports teams, like college sports teams, did a viral video where they were all like singing it. And
I think it's a good pop song. And I know that like Carly Rae Jepsen now has like some cachet.
She has some kind of curb appeal with the indie audience. I don't quite get it, but I haven't listened to the stuff, so maybe it's
I listened to Emotion and I thought it was okay, but it was definitely like mixed in. We talked about like the return of gated reverb and this like 80s stuff.
Oh
like
my
it was
God.
tied in with all of that stuff where it's like almost ironic but not ironic. Listen to, throwbacks to the 80s and you know stuff. But at least it wasn't Almost Paradise. So okay, whatever. I think Call Me Maybe is a good song, but maybe not a great song. Now, we've talked about this band before. And why did I put this list, man?
Yeah.
Okay. We Are Young by Fun.
Oh, yeah.
That to me seems like... Now, I have some thoughts about that song, but I won't unpack them right now. We Are Young. Tonight, We Are Young by Fun. And then I was like, those two songs are both from 2012, and so was that Superchunk song, so I had to pick something more recent.
Yeah.
Despacito.
What?
Despacito. Yeah, the Justin Bieber, Louis Fonsi, and Daddy Yankee track. Do you know? You don't know about Despacito?
No, Chris. I go out of my way not to listen to Justin Bieber.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Like, are you fucking serious? I've
I
heard
told you it
one
was
song with Justin Bieber in it.
It's not really a Justin Bieber
Chance
song.
the Rapper song that had Justin Bieber in it. It's the only song I've ever heard with Justin Bieber, and it's the only one I ever care to hear. So no, I don't know that song. I don't really want to talk about that song.
Yeah, okay, all right.
What about Drake in My Feelings? You didn't pick that.
No.
Oh man, that's the song.
Yeah,
you never heard that song?
No, I haven't heard that song.
It's like bounce, has like a bounce appeal to it, and like it's really good. I mean, you're gonna put Justin Bieber
Drake.
and Daddy Yankee in there, not Drake in My Feelings. Like, look, you can say what you will about Drake. I'm not his biggest fan. I don't think he's amazing or nothing, but I think he's got a couple of songs that are pretty good, and this is certainly one of them. Play a little bit.
Yeah,
play a little bit.
All right. So what's the track? My Feelings.
It's called In My Feelings.
Trap, money, penny.
And this bass line reminds me of some fucking like Houston rap from the 90s or something.
Yeah.
Kiki, do you love me?
Oh, yeah.
Say you never ever leave from beside me.
Now, is this song amazing?
It does sound like you could throw this on at a summer party and it'd be all right.
For
you know
sure.
What I mean?
Yeah.
But it ain't Rump Shaker either. You know what I mean? It ain't
it's better than Rump Shaker.
But I'm just saying, like, it ain't like party music either. It still sounds a little complex, you know?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And I told you it was a Poptimistic list, you know, or whatever.
I know. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
it's all
sorry
good.
to be such a downer about some of this shit, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, this is very gun to your head with these most recent ones because I set you up here. I thought you might. I mean, like I said, I knew Carly Rae had some indie credibility. So what I know, I thought, maybe Marty's on that train. You know what I mean? We had talked about Fun before, and I thought, maybe.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the Fun song, I don't even want to pick it, but I think that's the only one that isn't just like doesn't absolutely want to make me pull my fucking hair out. No offense. But I mean,
that's awesome.
you know,
I'm not in love with. Like I told you, I was
think
laughing.
The Fun song is kind of cheesy, but it is kind of interesting. And the whole "We Are Young" is kind of like a coming of age kind of thing, which I kind of dig.
When that year, whatever year this was on the radio, I went to a graduation for my nephew.
Yeah,
and you know they had like some video show things or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I think they played that Fun song 3 times.
Oh, dude, that was the Green Day. I hope you have the time of your life of that year. Yeah,
it absolutely was.
Totally. Like people were probably using that for their prom song and shit. Like
I like that it changes up too. Like and I like Janelle Monáe is on it.
Yeah,
you know,
she's
awesome.
Fantastic.
Man, why didn't I pick songs from her?
Yeah.
What was I thinking, man?
It's okay. It's okay.
So
Courtney recently saw her live.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
I bet that was great.
She said it was incredible, man.
Yeah.
She said it was so good, but yeah, so, you know, all good.
So we're going to say We Are Young by Fun is our choice for 2010.
I like it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So cool enough. Fair enough.
Cool.
So I thought it was kind of fun,
Sure, it was great. I had a good time.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be so grouchy about those 2010 songs. I really my snobbery kind of came out there. So my apologies on that.
That's all right. I'm going to cut it and make it look like we're all super enthusiastic.
Okay. I hope you guys can forgive me if any of that actually comes out in the mix down. But I really had fun with this episode.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was a lot of fun. So
it was cool. So those are some of our summer jams. There are a lot of great ones out there though that we didn't cover. And hey, man, hit us up.
Yeah, for sure.
Let us know what you think of some summer tracks that maybe we've overlooked or didn't talk about.
Exactly. And be on the lookout for that playlist too. I think we're going to have a lot of fun collaborating on that.
I think it'll be fun. And I will definitely, here's just fairness to everybody, Despacito will not be on that list.
Thank God. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we talked about the summer. It's kind of the summer. We're kind of almost in the middle of summer.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's getting close to the middle, almost the 4th of July. So make that Spotify playlist, guys. Go to your 4th of July barbecues. Play this episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
Play our summertime playlist, and you'll be the toast of the party.
That's right, man. Enjoy your summer, guys. We're going to have fun. We're going to take a little summer break here. Yeah. So if you're catching up with us a few weeks into it, don't worry. We will be back soon with season 3.
Going to go to summer camp.
A lot of fun stuff. Yeah.
Me and Kris are going to go shoot bows and
summer
arrows.
Summer camp starts. Yeah,
we're going to learn
BB
how
guns
to do arts and crafts.
Do some knots.
Ride horses, maybe.
Yeah, maybe ride a horse. I don't know, man. Yeah.
Go swimming in the lake.
It's going to be great. Dude, summer camp was so fun, man.
I never went to summer camp.
You never went to summer camp?
No, dude.
Yeah, I was a Boy Scout all the way, man. So we
Yeah.
did all kinds of summer camp
That's
stuff.
pretty cool, though.
It was so good, man. So I have shot an arrow or two during the summertime.
You also have a story that I'm going to have you tell on the podcast sometime about wrestling an alligator, but
That is an ultimate summer story, but that's too much for
that's
right
too
now.
much for right now. That might make it out to Patreon later, but
Yeah.
but anyway, guys,
I've been told not to tell that story in public
Oh,
because
really?
the statute of limitations may still be
shit.
out of. No, it's fine.
All right, so I just incriminated Chris.
Hey,
Sorry,
who knows
guys.
what that story was about? Wrestling an alligator.
Yeah.
One day, folks.
One
we'll get
day,
to hear that
guys.
story.
Alligator is just code for a Gucci wallet or something.
Exactly. I
Who
wrestled a
knows?
Gucci wallet.
Who the fuck knows? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening again. For listening to everything up to here as well as this, we really appreciate it. We will see you guys in season 3, and I think you're going to like our season 3 debut. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Hey, much love from all of us here at the Album of the Year podcast.
That's right.
And have a fantastic summer. Take care.
Take care, guys.